Alright, so I'm going to preface this whole video by saying there's not going to be much visual. I apologize for that. It's going to be more of a podcast style of video. And forewarning, when I do, for in the near future, when I do these bigger movies, these bigger blockbuster movies, or movies that I speak highly of and they're a little bit more wordy, that's how it's going to be. Um, because just to lack of a better word, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to editing and cutting and pasting and this editing software that I'm trying to figure out. It's still very much in its infancy, but I am actively learning. I'm actively trying. I'm constantly on Google figuring out new shit that I can do and how to make my videos better. But and partially due because this video that I'm reviewing is still in theaters and I legally can't show it until it comes out on Blu-ray. But me and my girlfriend, we had a movie night, and not only did we have a movie night, we had a movie theater experience on our first one since the coronavirus hit. We got word that our local movie theater was opening, so the first thing I did was go to the internet and see all the movies that were out because all the major blockbuster releases canceled production or delayed production and delayed their show times. But the lower production movies like films like IFC and Magnet and those production companies can't really afford to not do a straight to video release, or they can't afford to do a straight to video release, so they have to kind of do these theater releases. And a movie that I found, it was an IFC film, which they're a production company. They're kind of known for shitters, but it was a movie called The Rental, and it was directed, not only directed, but written, screenplay, produced. By Dave Franco, James Franco's brother. And so that's definitely what me and my girlfriend decided to go see. So this movie is about two couples and two brothers, matter of fact, and their two girlfriends. And it showcases Josh and Mina as the first couple and Charlie and Allison as the second. Charlie and Mina actually work together, and I think that they hit something big, made a big sale at work, and they're celebrating by renting out a beach house for the weekend. And turns out that it wasn't all that they were thinking it was going to be, as they find cameras in the house, and the renter is a little bit creepy. And I'm going to go over this movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but I am going to talk about it quite a bit. And but I'm not going to spoil it. Once it gets to the end, I'm going to stop talking about that and just talk about the movie in general. So the movie opens up with Mina and Charlie at work renting the house, and then Josh comes in and then Allison comes in. You eventually meet all the characters within 10 minutes of the film, and the characters are really likable. The acting was surprisingly good because it's not many actors that I know, but Josh is actually played I don't know his character's name because I don't watch this show, but it was a guy from Shameless. A lot of you guys will definitely know him, but I like the characters. And the first thing that actually happens is when they go and rent the house, Mina supposedly wanted to rent the house before, and her request got denied. But a couple of days later, when Charlie asked to rent the house out, he got approved, and she claims it was a racist thing as she's Middle Eastern and the owner of the house is white. I'm not going to really get into that. I'll leave that up to the viewer if you guys go and watch it. Maybe she was overreacting, maybe he was, maybe she wasn't, maybe he wasn't. But I will leave that up to you guys. So throughout the whole opening scene of the movie, throughout the whole movie actually, you kind of get the feel that Mina and Charlie, the two who work for each other, like each other, and they definitely have a thing for each other. And that's our superstitions were definitely answered quick. As not even like an hour in, probably 45 minutes, they have a party the first night and they all take ecstasy and everybody passes out except Mina and Charlie. And long story short, they get in a hot tub and they make out, and then they go to the shower and they have sex with each other. That next night, or the next morning, Josh and Allison go on a hiking trip together while Mina and Charlie stay back because they're tired, and obviously to talk about how they just cheated on their boyfriend or girlfriend. But they find a camera in the shower. Not only that, but it was the shower that they had sex in. So that rings a lot of bells, and the plot starts to thicken. And the movie did such a great job because as soon as it was kind of getting dragged along with the love triangle and starting to overwhelm me, it it popped something to kind of alleviate that, because for a while I thought that this whole side plot love triangle was just that, a side plot, but it perfectly coincides because the characters, you just feel this disdain and this hatred towards these characters for portraying their spouses like this, and it works perfectly because now they have this footage that is catching them in the act, but they also have cameras in the house, and it's kind of a ethical dilemma, and it's an ethical issue. Do they rat themselves out and say, "Hey, we were cheating on you, but you got cameras recording you," or do they not? They decided to hide it, but what brings that problem to life is when the hot tub is broke, and Allison calls the man, but unbeknownst to everybody else, to come and fix the hot tub, and he comes, and Mina completely just fully addresses it and says, "Hey, I know you're recording us, and we're gonna call the cops." And the man that's owning the house, that owns the house, is just completely taken aback by this, and he's very offended, and he calls the cops on her. It gets out of hand, and Josh walks in at the wrong time, and he thinks that he's beating up Mina, as there's this tension between the two characters the whole time, as supposedly he's racist, an asshole, or whatever. But Josh actually beats the shit out of him, and that is where I need to stop talking about it, because anything else will definitely ruin it. But this movie really, really, really surprised me. I don't know if Dave Franco has any other works. As far as I know, this is his first work, and it was with IFC, so I assume that he got all the calls, all the shots, because IFC isn't the most prestigious production company, and you put a name like Dave Franco on a movie, and it might do good. And I could tell by he produced it, screenplay, wrote it, directed it. The credits are just littered with his name, and he really surprised me. The movie does a great job of, it's really gripping, even though that 90% of the screen time is just consumed by this love triangle that they got going on. It works so good. There's just so many plot elements that just perfectly blend in together, and the tension is so thrilling, and you can't take your eyes off the screen, and it was at a perfect pace. It didn't drag. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't too slow, and the acting was pretty good. I'm not familiar with any of these actors. I think I've seen them in a couple of things before, but nothing that I can actually definitively say or talk about. But the acting was good. It was viable. They didn't really have the characters to really have a breakout performance, but for what their characters were, they played it great, and they get a lot of props. I also like the great camera work, great aesthetic to it. It had like a nighttime aesthetic to it, and the colors really popped out. I loved it. It felt in the mood with the whole ominous tension vibe that it had going on. Great cinematography, and another thing that it did great was perfect comic relief. I am not the biggest fan of comic relief. When I want to watch a movie that's serious, I want it to be completely serious, and I know I'm outnumbered there, but that's what I like. But it worked good. But the most notable aspect of the film was how it conveyed its mood. It was so powerful, and it was really good. It really worked in my books. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. Dave Franco really surprised me with this one. And that's it. See ya.